So welcome everyone back into our Zoom room. This is episode 2 of our Zoom room. We've Dennis being again here with us, Neil Horgan, and special guest Admir Softic. We haven't seen Admir in a long time. Admir, how are you? What have you been up to?
Great. Doing great, lads. How are you doing? All good. Here in Germany, obviously, the same topic as in Ireland, I presume. But yeah, keeping the spirits up, and great to see you all.
I thought you were in Bosnia. I thought you were back in Bosnia.
No, I'm not. I'm living in Germany the last 8 years now.
All right. And you're coaching there, is it?
Yeah. Obviously, I ended. I didn't end. I'm still in a player-coach role, so I'm still playing actively, but for the club that I signed with in 2013. So it's like long 7 years here at the club, and as a player now, as a player-coach. So exciting times.
Oh, very good.
Admir is a bit like Steve McLaren, isn't he? Do you know what I mean? McLaren went over to the Netherlands, and he goes, yes, of course. Yes, Admir came to Cork. Right, bye, you're right.
He's got that little
bye.
bit of
Now he's
twang
over
already.
there. Now he's very German all of a sudden again.
Yeah,
you
you
know?
have to change it.
The accent.
You have to change
the accent.
the accent.
The accent is gone. Accent is gone. I haven't been to Cork in 10 years. So I haven't.
You won't be for another 10 years the way things are going.
Hopefully not. No. I'm actually planning to come over with the whole family to visit because the little fella is asking, "Oh, you played in Ireland? I'd love to see Ireland. Love to see Cork City." And but unfortunately, family plans and family holidays are always the go ahead. But someday we will come to Cork, and we'll go for a pint and a jog, Dennis.
What do you trying to say, Admir?
I'm sure you're keeping fit. I was watching the first episode, and obviously you were saying about the runs.
He's playing with Caroline.
So
he's doing it, but he's fitter than he ever was now, Eddie. I'm telling you, he's unbelievable.
I'm just using my brain, and the camera adds on 10 pounds too, Admir. You know that, don't you?
What age were you when you came to Cork?
16, 17. Could be
Okay.
17 years. Yeah, 17 years old. I came full-time Premier League, so to say.
All right.
I think there was like only 8 lads. They were full-time at the time. I remember coming on trial for a week. Great setup. We were training at Deer Park.
Yeah.
Long time ago. Pat Dolan was in charge, so there was a lot of enthusiasm on the pitch. Anyway,
Yeah.
so I signed, and obviously started college also in Stefanefa. So for Cork City was a great opportunity. So yeah.
And you were living just around the corner from Deer Park, weren't you?
I was living in Ballyfehan, so it was a 2-minute walk to training and back home, so it was handy. Yeah. I actually the first few times I was in the squad for a game, I was actually, because I didn't have a driving license with 17, not yet. I was actually walking to the stadium, and I was just thinking, oh, how bad when the people see me walking with a Cork City bag. But no, it was great times, great memories.
What difference is there in standard at Eve the last couple of years with your team in Germany?
So obviously, when I signed here, I came here over in 2011. I came to the 4th tier in Germany, so it was a decent setup, very, very professional. In my league at the time was Red Bull Leipzig, so this team that's now playing on top of the Bundesliga. So it was a very competitive 4th league.
So why aren't you in the Champions League now?
What?
Why aren't you in the Champions League now? You're supposed to be player coach. What did you do wrong?
We're not sponsored by Monster. We're not sponsored by Monster.
He's just getting started, Dennis. He was a player all along. He was saying, no, he's assistant coach there. So you'll get him up, Addy, won't you?
Yeah, of course. There's for everyone is hope there. So that is hope.
It's semi-pro in the German 4th division. Is it semi-pro?
No, it was full time.
Okay.
Hawks. It was professional. There was obviously a couple of lads that were studying and doing part-time jobs, so just to keep going. But majority of the squad was professional. We was training at 10 o'clock in the morning and 2 in the afternoon. So it was pretty decent from a level point of view. And we were playing in big stadiums. So most of the clubs that were playing in the 4th tier when I was still playing are in the 3rd tier now. So the backbone of the 3rd league, which is very, very strong in Germany, is now from back then when I was playing. So it was like, so my first game when I came to Germany, I didn't know about the levels. You know, I was thinking, okay, the 4th tier, what's gonna happen here? How is it gonna be? But the first game we played away at a club called Magdeburg. They won the UEFA Cup in the 70s or something like that. So they were pretty big in the east of Germany. So the first game, big stadium, decent stadium, like 9,000 people in the 4th tier, you know. So it was like really, really great atmosphere. So I was really loving it. Like it was a great standard of play, and it really, really developed me also. Yeah. So I had to learn German quick, because the Germans don't like to speak English that much, and so I had to adjust pretty quickly. But
Well, we don't like speaking German too much either. So same thing.
So no job opportunities for you here.
Yeah, definitely.
I'm working for a company in Germany, so you never know. I could end up over there yet.
You never know. You're very welcome, Dennis. Yeah.
I'll move into the attic.
If the 4th division is fully national league, so you're travelling up and down the country, a lot of travelling, I'd say. Admir, was there?
So the 4th league when I came was split up in 2 regions. First of all, now they split it up actually in 5 regions.
Right.
It lost a bit of quality because most of the good clubs went up to the 3rd league. So they wanted to give the smaller clubs a platform to play the 4th tier league, but they spread it out a bit, and so it's like 5 regions of Germany.
It's a bit like the National League over in England, so where they have it regionalised underneath the Ryman Premier, don't they?
Yeah.
Something like that. So the 4th league is mainly used from the clubs, from Bundesliga clubs from the 1st league. Their second teams are playing in the 4th league mostly.
Okay.
So you're playing against Hoffenheim, second team, Stuttgart, second team. So teams like that. So the lads are pretty decent. So but they have it also hard because they are stepping up from the youth league into the seniors. So the first year is always a shock. So they play against like seasoned pros who play at various levels, you know, playing in stadiums in front of supporters, and you know, so it's a great experience. It's a great stepping stone for them, because most of them end up getting pro contracts with the first team and going to do great things. There's a number of players who are playing in the Bundesliga who just only a couple of years played in the 4th division.
And can they get promoted in Admir?
They can get promoted as long as the club is in the 1st league. So if they are in the 3rd league, it has to be two league separation, so to say. So we have a case, Bayern Munich. They have a second team who's playing in the third tier level. So they're doing.
But is that not hard for you to compete with that kind of, I suppose, money if you're in the 3rd division against Bayern Munich? Even if you look at the first division here, which Amherst Rovers looking to put a team into the first division. You know, you have that buying power, you have that the setup against more or less part-time teams. It must be a tough one to see those coming into it.
Yeah, it's obviously a challenge for most of the clubs competing with that. I have to say the third league is fully national, so it's just the one league in Germany, and filled with like really great teams from ex-Bundesliga teams, like the clubs who played only as recently 3 years ago in the first year, but dropped during financial strain and whatever you want to call it, bad choices outside the pitch. But obviously, like a team with Bayern Munich quality and the setup that they have, they can really prosper in this league. I mean, you have to look at it this way. Bayern Munich, they have a vision of creating like a second team for the UK to get a stepping stone into the first team or the big leagues. So to play in the third division in front of 20,000 people, which when they play in Braunschweig or some teams that are playing the third division now who are ex-Bundesliga teams, you know, it's a great experience for the team. And they are not buying experience, which is quality enough, I'd say.
Yeah, people watching now at the moment are probably going to be looking at you, Admir, and it's kind of stalling a bit. They're probably wondering how you're doing that trick, talking and then staying still at the same time. He's not a trained professional puppeteer, by the way. He's just
a ventriloquist.
I think the coronavirus.
Yeah, I think he had a knack on the pitch to look like a footballer and not do too much either.
So what's the situation there, Admir, with your players? What way are you advising them? Or what, like, obviously, are you having like a WhatsApp group or something, or having individual programs, or?
So the situation is, we are now in the 5th year, like my club. We had some bankruptcy issues 2 years ago. It was not easy. But we are building up. Obviously, we are in a good way now, part-time, so we're not full-time. Most of the guys go work or studying or something like that. Obviously, this whole virus thing was a bit of our way, because we started the second part of the season. You know, here's 2 parts of the season, like not like in Ireland. We started the second part of the season. We won 2 games out of 2 games and closed the gap on top to 3 points, and was supposed to play the top team on a Friday night before they called off the league that night. So it was unfortunate. We had a good run, so they called it off. Sorry, and obviously not a great timing for us. So what we went is we gave. So I'm in charge for strength and conditioning. I obviously was studying in Stefaneva, strength and conditioning. So I had some knowledge. I did some functional training licenses and training for teams here. I was also a personal trainer for a couple of years, training with like individuals, athletes, and teams here. So I have good bit of experience and knowledge in this field. So I was obviously making training plans for the team, but we now have a break until officially 20th of April. I think maybe another couple of weeks after that the season should resume without fans. So what I'm hearing from the association these days. So we have still a long time to go before we get onto the pitch. So obviously, what we did, we're gonna train together tomorrow. We're gonna use Zoom as an online platform to train from home. So I'm gonna be doing a training session with the whole team, functional training and like mobility training at home. So just to keep up the team spirit up, keep the fitness up. So we're going to be doing that from now on 2 or 3 times a week. They're going to be doing the runs also outside. So hopefully everybody can stay fit.
Can you get Dennis on your program?
There's still one spot available if
There you go, Dennis.
wants to join in. If Dennis wants to join in,
he was trying to trump your magic ventriloquist trick there by disappearing there a minute ago.
I mean, it's not a coincidence. As soon as strength and conditioning was a topic, that Dennis went off.
Nothing new there.
What can I say? I didn't need it. I didn't need any more strength. I had too much of it. I had to give some away in our hogs.
Of course.
I just had to give some of it away.
You played to your strengths, Dennis. That's the most.
Absolutely. If you didn't hit my feet, what's the point of playing? Do you know what I mean? It was just. It wasn't a greyhound track. You didn't have to kick it ahead of me and run after it. You know, it just hit the feet. But if you look at that scenario, Admir, like you're trying to keep spirits up. You're doing your Zoom. You're doing your sessions. Okay.
Yeah.
Mentally, that must be tough for the lads because they're coming in from work. They're now jumping on a Zoom call, or they have to go off and. So what are you doing mentally? I know Hoggy loves this side of the mental side of the game. You know, what are you doing? What do you do? Because he was mental when he was playing at the best of times. You know. What are you doing? What are you doing with those boys? Do you have sports psychologists or anything like that can help there?
No, really. As I say, we are pretty much part-time setup, so we are trying to maximize everybody at the club. So I'm actually doing like 2-3 jobs at once just to keep it going, because we don't have the resources to pay a psychologist or to pay an extra fitness coach or whatever as much as we want to. So obviously we're trying to keep it a tight group. What we're doing is the head coach is calling the players up, checking on them, you know, just talking about football and general. It's really hard because you have your daily routine. It's been taken away from you, you know, your daily training, your daily meeting. So it's gonna have an effect, I'm sure, on the players. So we're trying to do with the online training just to keep the spirits up. I think they're gonna be glad to see each other, even though if it's like this, to see each other and to know, okay, next week we have another 2 or 3 sessions online. Yeah. So at least we're gonna talk to each other, see each other, and have a laugh. That's also important in this situation. And obviously, it's gonna be hard the next 4 or 5 weeks to train on your own. Obviously, the fitness, the gyms are closed. You know, you can't go to the gyms. So it's a lot of self-motivation and self-discipline, which is being asked. We are trying to give them also materials and send them like videos, but like, you know, in today's world, every one of them has Instagram and Facebook and whatever. So they are watching videos from favorite players and probably watching videos from The Rock or whatever, giving speeches, and I think they are just taking away, just waiting for that day.
They not watch FVTV, no? If we'd have to get German subtitles, would we?
Yeah, obviously.
We'll get Admir to do the subtitles. I would have loved Pat Dolan to do a Zoom meeting, because without paying for these, only 40 minutes and it's up. You know, you're finished a training session. instead of being in Deer Park till 11:30 at night coming away, you know, Pat would have to finish on time.
The training sessions were only 3.5 hours with Pat.
Yeah, that's all. Only. That's all.
Jesus,
what's the name of your team?
TuS Koblenz.
How do you spell that?
Koblenz. Koblenz.
Okay.
Koblenz.
Koblenz. So Koblenz. Just a short story about the club. Only 10 years ago, we were playing the second Bundesliga here. So for 4 or 5 years, here was second Bundesliga. It was a great stuff for the city. You know, that the stadium was packed every week. There were some great teams coming down here, and obviously in the last 10 years, because of some decisions on the board, because of the financial strains, the club spiraled into the fifth league from the second league. It's a very, very thin line here between professional football and really making it, and between like fifth leagues and part-time football. You know, everybody wants to get to the big boys, but like it's a really big ask. And obviously they have a strict regime here. What's the Football Association, they are asking for your budget in front. You'd have to have so just for example, if you want to play the third league, you will have to have a capacity of at least 12,000 seats. You will have to have at least 5 million in your playing and staff money is guaranteed for the season. So it's a lot of for the clubs who don't have like a big sponsor like Red Bull or Bayern Munich or a big fan base. It's a lot of ask, you know, to get the sponsorship. Even we as part-timers are struggling every year to acquire new people, and yeah, it's a battle, but obviously we are.
And are you the only team in Club Koblenz?
No, there's another team who got promoted in the fourth league last season. They went into the fourth league. They are not doing well. They are bottom of the league. Obviously, that's the first time in their history that they went to the fourth league, and with no experience and pretty much the same playing staff, it was very hard from the beginning for them to keep the status, you know, in the league, and they underestimate a little bit the fourth league, you know.
It's like a mini Cork, isn't it? In theory, with Cork and Cove, you know, you have two teams each in the leagues, and both teams just struggling to keep their head above water. You know, the boys using the cockroach scenario, the lads. I mean, you know, just keep going. But it's hard to get sponsors when you have two teams close enough, and they'll always try and go with the team that's going higher up, won't they?
Yeah, so that's exactly what happened to us. So it's a big rivalry between us, even though they don't have that much tradition as we. They don't have a huge fan base, but they did a great job in the last few years. They won back-to-back promotions in the last 5 years. They got to the fifth league and then went on to get promoted in the fourth league. So obviously they took that energy with and new sponsors, and they kind of won the sympathy vote the last couple of years. So it was hard for us to keep up with that, because we were going to the same sponsors or the same people and wanting wanting people to buy into us and to our concept of work, you know. So they were saying, but we are not playing attractive football in a sense. The fifth league is not so attractive as the fourth league for the sponsors also, because in the fourth league you have at least 2 televised games secured, and the broadcaster is actually a top German channel for sports. So on average, when you play on a Monday night, and it's Monday night games when it's live on telly, when you play on Monday night, there's like 300,000 people that are tuned into the game on average.
Okay.
That's
So
good.
so you can.
So for your sponsor, it's a big draw.
Yeah, obviously, it's a huge thing. So obviously, we don't have that platform now in the fifth league. We have our own TV, which is covering our own games. So every weekend on the YouTube, home and away, we have a live game. So they are trying to do sponsorship over that to build up the audience, obviously. But the fifth league is not so attractive as the fourth league, honestly.
Just having lived in Ireland, Admir, and being a part of Irish football and kind of being around it, association to club to player to coach to manager to fans, like, how would you compare it to Germany? Is there, like, obviously in Ireland you're competing with GA and rugby and stuff like that, whereas I imagine Germany is more football focused and there's more of a love for the game over there.
Yeah, obviously it's huge. I mean, football is number one sport here. I think the second is handball or basketball. I don't know, but like you have so many clubs. I mean, just in this city and around the city, in like 50 kilometers area, you have like 400 clubs. You know, So you can imagine how many clubs, seniors until the under 10s or the little ones, you know, everybody's competing, you know. So it's really hard to keep up with everything and to be how would I say, like yeah, to be on top of your game, you know, because everybody's trying to get that piece of the cake, you know, from the sponsors and everything, and there's not many sponsors left who want to invest in football, you know. Everybody's looking at the big leagues. We have here in the region, north from us is FC Köln, Bundesliga. We have 45 minutes from us is Mainz, also Bundesliga. So you have a lot of fans also in Koblenz who are fans from the Bundesliga teams who are watching them, investing monies in them. So it's pretty hard to be a local team who wants to progress, who wants to go in the big leagues. Even though we made it like 2010 in the second league, but obviously people were disappointed the way the club was run the last 10 years, you know, and a lot of people didn't want to support that way. So we only have like a hardcore of fans who are supporting. Even though for a fifth league, I have to say we have like average home attendance is like between 1,000 and 1,200 people, you know.
Good. It's good.
So it's pretty decent, you know. So and we are the team who are bringing, like, we have an organized fans team. So when we play away, we're playing in smaller stadiums or smaller pitches. We are playing. We are bringing like 250 to 400 people with us.
That's really good.
So we always have a home game away from home. Because
Yeah.
not everybody has a fan team like
Right.
us.
Adi, do you know, in terms of the fans owning the club over in Germany and the, you know, the kind of 51% owned by the clubs, is that just the big clubs? The fans.
So in Germany, every club is. So in Germany, it's a bit like there's AGMs, and if you're a member of the club, you have a right to vote on the board on every question in the club, politics, whatever you want to do. There's once a year a big AGM meeting where every member gets to vote for the future of the club. So what happened, interestingly, to us, because we went bankrupt 2 years ago, you know, and in the bankruptcy, our old board left us, so they resigned for obvious reasons. So we didn't have a board. We just had an officer who was doing, like, I don't know how do you say it, you can correct me.
Like a liquidator or a receiver.
So, yeah. So the liquidator was obviously the president of the club at that time. You know, he was being asked about everything. You know, so just last December we had the first AGM in 2 years to vote. Like, because we are now out of the bankruptcy, we are healthy again. We can run the club. So it was the AGM, and the people, like the fans and the members of the club, voted on the AGM on the new board. There are 6 places on the board, like the president, the vice president, finances, I think sports director, which funnily enough I took. I mean, I was elected. I was elected, and there is like I think a board for youths. So we have like 6 positions who are running the club now. So I'm one of the positions took up. So it's a big democracy here in Germany. So what happened on our AGM? Somebody came up with an idea to put me up for a vote for the sport director position, because the last few years I was really involved as an assistant coach, also in player recruitment with the head coach. I'm always involved between our youth teams, and I'm also the head of the strength and conditioning for our youth teams, and obviously doing a lot of scouting in the youth. So they obviously knew that I had a lot of knowledge in the club and outside. So somebody just proposed that I should do this, and it went to the vote, and I was really surprised. So I won against another candidate. There was not active in the club scene, but wanted obviously to come in into the board. So I won at the AGM. So we are now basically, our president is also somebody who was in the fans scene. So you can say our club is now run by the fans in a way. It's a similar situation like at Cork City, you know. I mean, the majority in the board are from the fans scene. So I think it's a great thing because it's an opportunity. It's a new way of thinking. Obviously, they don't have so much experience in professional football or something like that, but they want to do things right and they want to do things better. So we will see.
You can help them. You can help them with all the sport, the soccer stuff, obviously.
Obviously, yeah.
And you know, just underage structures, Admir, are you connected with the clubs below, like schoolboy clubs and that, or do you have your own schoolboy club?
So we have underage teams from under 8 until up to the youths, up to the under 18s. You know, a couple of years we had a second team also who was competing like only 2 leagues below us. That was scrapped because of the funds, obviously. So right now we have the under 18s are the backbone for the first team. We have, in the last 2 years, we've promoted 6 or 7 players from the youth teams into the first team who are now regulars into the first team, who have like 2 or 3 years contracts with us. So every year there's like 2 or 3 guys who are coming up to us. That is our philosophy, to just keep it like with our underage teams, and because that's one of the reasons the club fell apart in the last 10 years. They were always buying players from outside. I obviously came also from outside. It's obviously you're gonna have a few arrivals that are gonna help you, but the fans want to see their own underage players, their own guys from obviously who are identifying with the philosophy of the club, and you know, who are playing with their hearts on the sleeve and everything. So we try to.
Sorry.
Yeah, it could be a good revenue stream.
You sell them on, players move up.
Interesting. The first year that we took over, like 2008, we had a player who went up from the youths into the first team. We promoted him. So he played the season. He scored, I think, 7 or 8 goals and set up like as many as that. This is the first player since 2009 who was sold for money into Koblenz. So we sold him to Fortuna Düsseldorf, a Bundesliga team, but to their second team first of all. They want to develop him. He's only 19 years of age, coming on to 20. So they want to develop him, but they paid monies for him. So we are the first team in the region or in the 5th leagues who took.
Were you involved in that process, Admir, the financial side of it, and
obviously
being on the board?
Because, obviously first year also, because the liquidator was only concerned about the outside stuff, and he was having troubles with the sponsors and whatever. So the head coach and me had to do all the contracts alone. We had to negotiate. We had to do everything clearly on our own. And now, as a sporting director, I am directly involved with like player dealing.
Oh, it's brilliant! Great.
Like with the
great experience
with agents. With agents. So the last 3 months, we had 4 or 5 new contracts signed. So we had the head coach signed for another 2 years. We had a couple of young players who signed for another 2 years, and we had some negotiations between agents and the players also. So it was a experience as such. Yeah. You know, for me to be in that position to negotiate and obviously to learn new skills, how to negotiate. It's a tough situation because when you don't have the monies, you know, you don't have the funds, you can't really, you don't have the aces so to say. You know, so you have to appeal with emotion. You have to talk football as much as you can, because you're not gonna get them on a salary, you know, which they deserve.
Yeah, no, it's definitely tough.
It's good. It's ultimately, look, from me listening to all that story, that there's so many resemblance to the Cork City background that you had growing up along.
Yeah.
You know, you're in a local town-ish, we'll say. You know, you have that kind of fan base.
Yeah.
The team fell apart. It comes back again. Hey, actually, Hoggy, I think you have a couple of books on that, have you? I'm sure Hoggy has a couple. Yeah, have you? Yeah. Oh, there we go. That's it.
Oh, there it is. Full load of shit.
There it is.
Hoggy, that background actually is a bit like, you know, it's like one side I'm on holidays in Palm Beach, and then the other side I'm serious and I read. It's like half an hour. Actually, there's a dark curtain in on the left-hand side. That's kind of that's the mentality side, is it?
Boudoir.
Yeah.
He's boudoir in the back.
You'd have to stall
But what I was saying to Admir was that it's great then that even though you're in Cork for so long, like, you now moved over to Koblenz, and you can just see the passion, obviously being sporting director, now being part of the board, how somebody can grow to like a club and really want them to do well. Because even in our own scenarios, well, me and Darren, I know Neil was only doing a small bit of coaching, but we were doing locally at the Monsignor League, and you do kind of want to promote young lads through. You want to make them better, and you want to see them come out to the side. So when you flip over from a player to a coach, and then you have the added benefit of being the sporting director now, which is great. It's a great opportunity as well there. It's great to see that passion now as well for football, and wanting players to do as well as you've done as well, you know.
Yeah. Obviously, that was the aim, and I really didn't plan to be obviously I want to develop as a coach still and do that side of things, but you know, the situation at the club just forced us to do some things that are necessary, you know. So but obviously I think in the long run that's gonna be a great experience, because we are working on extreme circumstances, you know. So obviously this situation,
right, go.
Yeah, I could. Admir, you remember the famous game, I suppose, against Red Star Belgrade? Dennis laughing.
That's one. That's the only own goal I scored ever. That's because I was normally not close enough to the ball, not close enough to the goal. Admir went to head the ball clear. Wasn't it Red Star, Admir? Wasn't it? Yeah.
I went to head the ball clear.
You'd hear back then. You'd go right up like that, wouldn't it?
Left it for you. Left it for you to get me out of jail.
And I put it into mixed net. To be fair, Mick was a fault. He was actually a shock.
Who was on the post? Who was on the post?
It
must have been Carney or Murph, because they were small.
So we'll blame it on Murph. We'll blame it on Murph.
You had your man of the match that day, though, I think, did you?
Yeah, I think so. But it was a great experience. I would have preferred if we got a result. You know, I think we weren't far away from getting a good result against them. They were a pretty decent side. I think most of the players from that generation, from Red Star, went on and made some great European careers, played in some big leagues, national players also. So I think we did pretty well at home.
Remember Zigic playing Zigic up front, and Dan had a great game. And there was I don't know if it's an old wives' tale or whether it was a proper story. Hoggy, you might be able to confirm or deny that Big Sam was in the stands watching Zigic.
Oh yeah, it's true, I think.
And his agent turned around after Muzz did a great game on him.
Benno.
Oh, was it Benno? Benno. If he's listening, apologies, Benno. Apologies, he'll kill me. So they had a great game on him, and supposedly the agent went up to Big Sam at full time and said, "Well, what do you think now, Sam? 5 million wouldn't buy him?" And Sam goes, "Too right, I'm one of them."
So honestly, I think their tactic was they were obviously watching the tapes from us before, and I think the tactic was to go away from Muzz because he was a big, strong, tall guy, and they were thinking that Benno is a bit smaller, so they're going to target Benno against Džigić, you know. They were thinking they were going to get some success, but unfortunately they didn't know that Benno is a rock. So so Benno just had a great game against him, and obviously we all did, you know. I think Muzz hit the crossbar straight after we conceded. That was unfortunate because I think if we scored a goal, and I think we
would have had a chance.
Could have had a chance. Took the momentum with us, you know. You never know how it end up, but it was a great experience, I think, for us. And obviously the away game, another experience, surreal, you know, to play in that massive stadium for so many supporters, and obviously emotional for me as well on another level. But great experience.
The intimidation was serious in Belgrade. You know, from driving up the promenade up to the ground, you know, every 100 meters there was a cop with an AK-47 waiting to go, and Alsatians. We had to walk down under the pitch to come out into the pitch. You know, it was in theory we were nearly beating before we went onto the pitch because there was so much going on. Try and play again, and then try to play a game after that was tough, you know.
Yeah, obviously the long walk from the pitch to the dressing rooms, you know, that didn't help us. The police officer with the Rottweilers and with the machine guns, obviously that's another level which in my hindsight, I come from a different background. I saw that stuff already as a kid, so it was not so strange to me. But obviously for you guys who are like not so used to your normal day in Cork, that some police officer with Rottweilers and machine guns are patrolling the street. So
Darren is.
Darren is, yeah, Carry Navarre's had a good day.
Yeah, it's a tough place to grow up, lads. Tough place to grow up.
Admir, I remember, Admir, you told, I don't know if you want to tell this story now, but you told me an unbelievable story about your dad and his friend in the war. When he got shot.
Yeah, obviously, when he got shot, so it was the first months of the war, I think, and it was not so far away where we lived. They were obviously minding the school, so whatever he was doing, I don't know, with his friend. So obviously they were shooting at him, and he got shot in the calf area. So obviously they were shooting again to try to, you know, kill him. Obviously it's a bad thing to say, but it was like that. So he was going for cover. Nobody could go near him because the shots were still firing. So what they did, they used a big massive truck with a shield to get to him, to get him inside the school where they can give him the first aid, you know. So they got that, so they were giving him the first aid, but obviously they didn't have any medical supplies or nothing. So he had to be transported with like emergency. The only trouble is the whole city was under siege. So in every corner there was like the opposing army, which was the Serbian army, was waiting with checkpoints. You couldn't get through, you know what I mean? You couldn't get through. So nobody had the courage really to take on this task of driving my dad into the city, to the hospital, you know, to the main hospital. Only his best friend was saying, "Come, like, I'll do it if what happens. It's gonna happen," you know. So what they did is they drove to one of the checkpoints, and in the background they were hoping that they're gonna do a trade. So what they're gonna do is like a trade, a prisoner, an officer from Serbia for a pass, so my dad can pass and go to the hospital. But obviously at the checkpoints there was some nationalists there, and they were like punching him in his wound and like
oh my God,
preparing the knives and everything. That was like a horror story, you know, for like a half an hour, and he had a lock that the general, somebody just arrived in the right time and just said, leave these people alone. We just did a trade, and he had massive luck. He said.
Jeez, it's unbelievable.
You probably told me that story, Admir.
Yeah.
Or maybe a year.
Yeah.
So what 10 years you left? You were probably in Cork 5 or 6 years, was it? Something like that? Were you in Cork 16 to?
I was playing from 2003 till 2008-9, and I came back during the era when the Forest took over.
Oh yeah.
I came back for a brief spell, and it was really unfortunate. I was supposed to play Derry City that night when the new Cork City was formed. I was only told in the hotel before the game that the three club rule had obviously caught up with me as well. So it was really unfortunate. I couldn't play until like summer, and it was heartbreaking because I wanted to start new again with Cork City. I think Tommy Dunn was his coach.
Yeah, manager.
I think we only had like 14 guys traveling up to Derry, and I was one of them. And I remember Jerry Harris telling me the registration. No, I went to Derry. I went all the way
up there. Traveled there off the plane.
I traveled all the way up. I don't know. The registration didn't come through. He just got the call from the FEI and that I already played for 2 clubs this season, and I couldn't play until summer. Because I came from Denmark. I used to play second league in Denmark, so I came from Denmark in winter, so I joined Cork City. So just moved back with my parents, and wanted to start fresh with Cork City. Obviously, we were all part-time. It was a new setup, but I wanted to give it a go, but it wasn't meant to be.
Like I said, I remember that story that thing, and it stuck with me because obviously we'd never experienced it down here, that kind of trouble or that kind of growing up. It must have been horrendous. But that story always stuck with me. Always and ever. I always remember that your dad's best friend got into the truck, drove him to see what he could do, And where are your parents now?
My parents are living in England, in Bolton.
Okay.
So they moved.
How did he end up there?
so obviously the recession in 2008, 2009 took its toll, and obviously my parents lost their jobs as well during that period. So I have some relatives who are living 20 odd years in Bolton, England. My mother's sister, so my aunt, is living there. So they just got in touch, and they said we are thinking about coming to England, because obviously England has a much bigger spectrum of job opportunities and whatever. My sister wanted to study law, so she wanted to do her master's, I think, in Manchester or something like that. So it just went hand in hand. So they are living there the last 7-8 years, I think, or something like that.
Good.
So they're pretty settled in England,
What do you miss most about Cork, Addy?
What I miss, obviously the cross, obviously,
Tell the truth. It's the nightclubs. Go on, tell the
it's
truth.
The those days are over, Darren. Those days are over.
Long gone.
Long gone. Obviously.
What about food? Lennox's chipper.
Oh, Lennox's chipper. Yeah, I try to tell people about Lennox's, but
you have to just experience it, like, isn't it?
They don't understand. Jackie Lennox's. They don't understand.
Jackie
make sure it's the Jackie part. I don't know how.
I know. I just not well.
Obviously, the chipper Lennox's, obviously, but KC's in Douglas, obviously, that's one of a kind. I think that's also something to be proud of in Cork. Yeah, I had a few nights out in Cork. Yeah, that's for sure.
a few nights in a row.
a few nights in a row. Obviously, very very young, very very stupid at the time. You know, didn't cherish the opportunity. So you wouldn't believe how my mentality changed over the years, and obviously that experience helped me as well. I'm talking a lot. I was working also a lot with young players, youth players, and just advising them to make good choices, because you don't get many opportunities. I think I was very lucky, like 18 years of age, playing in the first team on the fringes, you know, playing some European games. I should have done better, I think. But obviously the timing of my decisions weren't, so
I think every one of us has gone through that, and every one of us has talked to players when we were that age and trying to give them advice, and we probably had guys as well, you know, advising us at the time as well, trying to give us some bit of advice. But
you have to live it.
I think if you could solve that experience gap and give the experience straight to someone, you're a very rich man. You've got to learn for yourself, haven't you?
But it'd also be very boring as well. You know, you're supposed to enjoy your life, and you know, being a footballer in a town like Koblenz or Cork, you still have to enjoy yourself as well to make that experience more special than your normal job. You know, but like you said, if you could just bottle some of the experience and pass it on, everyone would be a lot better off. But look, that's football. You know.
What I also remember is what we had at Cork City, especially. I mean, we were together for a good few years. I mean, the backbone of the team and everything. I think we had a great team spirit, a great togetherness. I think everything what we did outside of the pitch was also great. So that helped us on the pitch, you know, enormously. You know, we couldn't compete always with the big teams financially, maybe, but we did that through team spirit, and obviously our fans, the cross was always buzzing. That gave us another push, you know. But no, it was a.
Well, we trained hard too, Eddie. Let's you know, let's not you know, make this into we were party boys back then. You know, under Pat Dolan and on from Pat. You know, play hard, train hard, play hard. But I tell you, you know, we trained hard on the paddle, you know, really hard.
I just remember one thing: UL Limerick and the fitness. 150.
Dave Mahidi up and down those banks.
150s. So 150 meter run is the worst run in the world.
Oh, in history. People are getting pains in their chest now with the coronavirus. There's a pain in their chest after that 150. I'm telling you, it's no man's business. It's unbelievable.
The pandemic around the world, people dying in their thousands, and Dennis is comparing it to the 150 meter run.
We nearly died after that too, Murph.
It's hard, Murph. It's really hard. I'm actually,
especially with Pat Dolan looking down at you.
Yeah, I'm actually considering to get the 150 test here in Koblenz.
Yeah, you should.
See how they get on. Come back and tell us. See how they get on. Yeah. Because nobody did it like Benno. Benno was some man to do that run, you know.
Unbelievable. What did he get? 820?
Got. And he did, and that was, if you did the full 6 runs, you had 900. So 825 or 875. Neil, again, you'll be able to fact check that one.
No,
but they hadn't come across anyone that had gone that far yet, had they?
I think I did 760, and that was like I was breathing through my hole. I was like,
we had many people come down and do that test that wouldn't have been used to it. You know, and it was horrendous. But as we got better, as we trained, like we were out in the Maradike, and we do a full-on running session, and then at 10:30 at night, Noel would come along and do in every corner of the running track, and we start doing push-ups, press-ups, core work. You know, we trained late and hard into the night. You know.
Do you know what I still have, Neil and Dennis? You remember? I still have a training schedule from 2004 pre-season.
Wow.
Jesus, you got to send that on.
So I have, I'll make a picture, I'll send it. I have like the 10 times 100.
If it fits into one picture, it can't be that hard.
10 times 200.
You're exaggerating, lads. You're exaggerating.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
it's like
you could do this. It was simple but effective, Murph.
So Pat Dolan did one session, 10 times hundreds, 10 times 200s, 8 times 400s, 6 times 600s, 4 times 1000. So all in one session. That was amazing.
And Murph, you couldn't believe the run we used to. We used to wake up in the morning. We wouldn't train. He'd meet us in the Mardyke that night, and we dread that run every single time we'd meet. You know, like the amount of meters we did was phenomenal, and it was all timed. It was all on his clock. So that is like, so don't be kidding. It was just all party times.
Has a running story out there, but
no, absolutely.
Look, I think we'll leave it at that for tonight's episode of the Zoom Room, and welcome to everyone who joined and came in. And it's brilliant to see you, Admir.
Great to see you, lads. Great to see you.
Thanks very much for coming on. And
I'm looking forward for the next episodes. I'm available, so if you want to.
Yeah, definitely.
We'll be a guest speaker.
We'll have you as a guest speaker. Yeah, definitely have you as an option. We'll add you to the group. For anyone out there watching and listening, we're going to put it out in the podcast as well. Please share, like, and retweet it, and get us out there. Tell your friends, and also give us some topics if you want to discuss anything. If you want us to discuss anything, give us some guest ideas, and we'll go with that. Thanks very much, everyone.